just discussing, myself and Ingrid Tarrant, whether it's worth having a car. Because it's interesting, one of the stories today on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, pay per mile road fees to hit net zero. This is a document that actually I first unearthed and spoke about on this show earlier in the year. And this is this document from back in 2018 where Sadiq Khan said that was exploring pay per mile driving charges. And in an official report, he says that the ambitious plans for decarbonisation are only possible by charging drivers. He also spoke about this, by the way, in his book, Breathe, which, if you read it, you'd want to do anything but.
We used it instead of loo paper, didn't we?
We did. Well, I don't think it was loo paper, but I think we cleaned the... But I think I blew my nose in it. That's what I did.
You blew it up. But I was going to use it instead of blue paper. The page is the book we're talking about.
So apparently there's this fierce row going on because, of course, Sadiq Khan is denying, even though there's an official report saying that he looked into pay per mile charging, he's denying that pay per mile charging is going to be coming in. But, of course, let's not forget that he made the same denials about extending the ultra-low emission zone before the last election and then, of course, went ahead and extended it. The Mayor's official transport strategy document said that there's a commitment to investigate proposals for the next generation of road user charging. Now, he could have updated that document, but he hasn't. And the Tories also say that Sadiq Khan has himself admitted that his target to achieve net zero in the capital by 2030 relies on road user charging. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, the repellent little runt in the back of his...
he is a repellent little runt.
He really is in the back of his...
Could go
He'd have
worse
probably
than that.
written these plans in the back of the Range Rover that he's being chauffeured around in. Let's not forget that, the 5-litre super
Mind you,
turbocharged
it
Range
was
Rover.
originally proposed, apparently, by Boris Johnson when he was mayor.
What a
and
load of
Rishi
nonsense
Sunak
he used
was...
to spout.
Oh, I know. Do you have, digressing just a little bit, but the Boris bikes, of course that was his vanity project, but yes, a lot of people use it. Have you seen now that they've got Lime bikes?
Oh, yeah, you're about 3 years late on that one, Ingrid.
Honestly, because I'm a suburban girl.
Yeah, they've got low. But the difference is, I mean, I don't like any of them because I don't believe that without any training you should be able just to ride a bike. I believe that you should have some training.
The cycling proficiency course,
yes,
which all my children
and I think
had to
this
do.
idea that, oh my God, look, let's get a bike. But, drunk people do have to get home somehow, I suppose.
Oh,
and
yes,
that's the best way.
my daughter's friend broke her thumb drunk on a bike.
Yeah, they don't care. But the problem with Lime bikes is that they're scattered all over the pavement. They are the Boris bikes. What you can say about those, as much as I don't like them, is that they can only be hired and returned to docking stations. But the Lime bikes, the whole point is that you can just get on them anywhere.
What, they're free of charge?
No, you use the app to find one which is parked anywhere. There is a docking station.
I mean, they shouldn't be abandoned in
They are.
litter, but that's quite handy because you've always then got to go to a docking station. There might be one just round the corner.
Yes, but the problem is,
Popped
though,
up
that
against
then
the
you've got
wall,
them scattered
yes.
all over the pavements, and elderly
Little
people,
bit,
disabled
yeah.
people, blind people are saying this is outrageous. People with pushchairs, we can't get past because in some parts of central London, they're scattered literally everywhere.
They've got to sort that out.
Well, they won't,
away.
because of course it's all about it's all about the mantra of cycling, and that if you're anti any kind of cycling measure, then you'll seem to be some sort of Beelzebub, and try and have a reasonable cycling debate on Twitter, and they'll come after you. I mean, some cyclists are trying to give away my home address. Some cyclists have been absolutely repellent.
Oh, you've really upset them then.
Yeah, I've really upset them.
Yeah.
Simply by saying, look, some of the cycle lanes are terrible.
And of course,
they were
I'm going to
brought
upset
in
them because I totally agree.
by Sadiq Khan. Now, my question is,
Yes, so with this.
per mile charging.
Now, I'm not really against this at all because it goes back to the less you use, the less you should be penalised, because everybody has to pay the same amount regardless of how many miles they do. The big question is, how much is he going to charge?
Well, that's the problem. And then at the moment, I see your point, and I don't. If I was being selfish, so I have to pay because my car was over £40,000 when it was new, even though I didn't buy it new, and I paid far less than that for my car because it wasn't brand new. It was a year old. But because it was over that price, I have to pay £500 a year road tax,
I'm in a similar situation.
which is really frustrating.
Annoying.
Because if you didn't buy the car at that price, but for the first 5 years, it's £40,000. Now, so now in 2 years of us owning that car, we've done between 3,000 and 4,000 miles in it. We really don't use it at all. So from that perspective,
so that's 1,500 miles on average a year.
A year.
As opposed to the 10,000 average.
So we really don't use it very much.
So you would really benefit from...
We would benefit.
Yeah,
but I know...
mile.
So from a selfish point of view, brilliant. Well, if there was no other road tax, which firstly, by the way, I don't believe that they might... they might bring in road user charging in addition.
He's saying that he would remove congestion charge and ULEZ, but not many people
don't believe
are
a word
paying
that comes
that
out
anyway.
Of that little runt's
well,
mouth.
Exactly. That's not very much actually, because a lot of people will avoid that.
Well, that's £27.50 if you need to pay both, though, which is a lot. If you want to tell that to a nurse or a person on a lower income that can't afford to change their car. But anyway, the more important point is that if I wanted to be selfish, I would say, great, brilliant, I'm going to benefit from that. But there is no way, if you need to use your car regularly, if you're a night shift worker, if you're a nurse, if you're someone who is a delivery driver, if you're someone who is a plumber, a sparky, a chippy, anything like that that needs to use your car, if you've got children that you need to get to do different schools, if you've got any of that stuff for getting onto work, this is not, there is no way that little runt is going to make it more cost effective for those people. It will end up costing them more, without a doubt.
Well, yes, because it's all profit.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And it's not going to end up being cheaper than £27.50 per people.
But the principle is good.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I think it is because the way that... So you've given a perfect example. You still pay your road tax, even though you've only done, on average, 1,500 miles a year for 2 years.
Yeah, maybe
whereas
2,000.
Other people would have done, 2,000. Other people would have done 20,000 on average.
But that's part of being a society. I'm sorry.
It is part of being a society, but also at the same time, it's wear and tear on the roads. And it's the pollution and this, that, and the other. I'm not getting too strung up on the pollution, actually.
But if I have to pay that so that a nurse gets away with not having to pay that, well, I don't love it, but I will, because my worry is that if... But
it doesn't feed back to people like that.
But it
just doesn't. I don't think it does.
Like so 27. If you are someone who is a nurse at the moment and you've got an older car because you can't afford to change your car, if you're an elderly person or something like that, and you live within the ultra low emission zone, and you come into central London, you have to pay £27.50 a day. £27.50 a day. If you're a nurse on a night shift, I think that's outrageous. Road user charging will end up being more than that. There is no doubt in my mind.
I agree with you. But if it wasn't, in principle, I think it's quite good. And I don't think it would trickle down.
But then why would
you
bring
paid
it in?
more, I don't think it would trickle down to the nurses or
the
low-income people coming in. It would go into a pothole, but it wouldn't even go into a pothole.
But the point is that it's in order to... The 2030 goal to make us net zero is about trying to get people to use their cars less. You're not... If people are using their cars at X amount at £27.50, it's going to have to be more than £27.50 to make it people use it less. An average car use of the person who uses it for £27.50.
And you do wonder about the electric cars. You see, people have already been penalised by actually getting rid of their other cars. They
were all told to buy them.
They were. Same with the diesel. You buy the diesel because it's cheaper. Now scrap them and we'll give you £2,000 back if you're lucky.
Yeah, and then the diesels are now the things that you have to pay the ULEZ on. So I'm just putting the blind down because I'm getting a bit blinded by the sunshine. I look beautiful in this light, but it is slightly blinding me.
It's summer, but it's cold out there. It's actually not proper summer yet.
So I find it extremely frustrating that this would potentially be brought in. TX Redneck says, what a shock. Sadiq coming up with more ways to milk the wallets of working people. And Jason makes the very fair point. One thing, Cristo, why did we bring in a mayor of London in the first place? It just seemed to cause problems. I agree. I don't think we need mayors. No. And mayors are pointless.
We've got the Lord Mayor, haven't we? Which is a completely different thing. So maybe we just stick to the Lord Mayor.
I think that we need to have commissioners for each city, for each major city, appointed by the government that work with the government of the day.
appointed by the government.
Well, I think we should have a choice of who the commissioner is. So,
and what would the difference be between a commissioner and a mayor
that
then?
they are not working against the government, and that central government. So this is how I would do it, and this is just like back in a fag packet.
Okay,
sort of idea.
let's hear it.
But as opposed to a mayor of a different party or whatever, when you elect the party of government,
It should be...
the party of government says, right, Birmingham, we need a commissioner for Birmingham. It's a major city. It's a big enough city that warrants having a commissioner. Here are 3 commissioners we're going to appoint, that we are thinking of appointing.
That will be whatever the party is at the time.
Yeah, that will work with us to secure the interests of Birmingham, just like a mayor would, and to have some autonomy over some of those local decisions, but the money will come from central government. Here are the 3. Like, when you vote Birmingham in the general election, we're also going to put, you can vote for your commissioner for Birmingham.
Oh, it's getting... I can see this going horribly, horribly wrong. I see what you're saying, that it should support the... But then I'm going to say 2 things here. So point 1 on what you're saying, then the government chooses a 3 that
Yes.
particular area can have. Okay, fine. But I can see that being slightly corrupted.
More so than some of the mayoral things that we've seen. I mean, would you not
I don't
rather?
think it. I think it still leaves it wide open. But then, what about the civil servants? Because I think, because they are the ones to really target, get rid of them unless they are whatever the party is at the
why
time.
can't you have the structure of the mayoralty that you have now, i.e., you know, the mayor's office with the civil servants within the mayor's office working, but instead of having a mayor like you have in London, you've got a Labour mayor and a Tory government. So therefore, the Tories blame Sadiq Khan for everything. Sadiq Khan blames the Tories for everything. The Tories don't want London to prosper because it makes Sadiq Khan look good. Sadiq Khan doesn't want to give the Tories praise for anything in London because it makes them look good. So you end up with this situation.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And also the Sadiq, you know, for instance, there are certain projects in London that need to be done that central office of the government don't want to finance because they don't want Sadiq Khan to look good. Whereas if you had commissioners for each city, then they work with the government of the day, which is what surely you want for each city. And then when that government's voted out, you have a different commissioner.
All right, being devil's advocate, so you have Conservative at the moment with our little runt Sadiq Khan, Mayor, Labour. That, in a funny way, is the voice of 2 sides. So betwixt and between, you might get a fair balance.
But I don't think you do.
In theory, you should, though.
I think you end up with both sides blaming the other.
Yeah, but having said that, I'm being devil's advocate when I say that. In theory, you would get sort of like perhaps a little betwixt and between, but he has too much power. He has complete power.
Well, John is
and control, and that's where where the danger lies.
Cristo abolishes democracy. You've lost its commission. No, because you get your democratic right to choose which commissioner you want, which is just
but you haven't at the very beginning because you're saying that the government.
Yeah, but you get it nationally. You get it, but with your general election choice.
Out of the ones that the
when I vote in my general
chosen.
election, I can still vote for my local MP, but when it comes to the commissioner or the mayor, former mayor of the city, they are appointed. The choices for that are appointed by the central government. So central government decides, and so the national elections reflect the shape of each city. That's how I would do it.
But currently, the mayor will set himself up like we've got now. So we've got Sue Hall, we've got Howard.
Yeah, well, I'll read them all in a second.
Yeah. So they are putting themselves forward to be elected. Wouldn't that be the better way to do it? Because they really want to do it. They really want to make a change.
Well, the commissioners can really want to do it. I'd love to be the commissioner for London, but working with the government. I don't know, it's just a different idea, because I feel like what you have then is that I've made my choice, or the electorate have made their choice for who we want running the country. But then you have the biggest city in the engine room for the country, London, being run by someone who has a completely different mandate to the government that is in power.
I
To
know
me,
that's completely wrong.
sense.
It's a complete contradiction. They are going to work against each other, although they might be able to work
the city
civilly
doesn't
between
prosper.
each other.
I mean, it all works
But then
out.
I
if
worry
you've
about
got-
the cronies. Can you imagine? I just see it becoming such a corrupt cesspit.
Well, it already is.
Well, it already
okay,
is.
So we have to just tell you, by the way, because we've been discussing it, that of course Sadiq Khan is standing in the London mayoral election for the Labour Party. We've also got standing Femi Amin for the Animal Welfare Party, Count Binface for Count Binface for Mayor of London. Ingrid?
Yeah!
Shh, quiet. Rob Blackie, Liberal Democrat, Natalie Campbell, an Independent, Howard Cox, Reform UK, Amy Gallagher, Social Democratic Party, Zoe Garbett for the Green Party, Taryn Galati, an Independent, Susan Hall for the Conservative Party, Andreas Christofi for an Independent candidate, Brian Rose, London Real Party, and Nick Scanlon for Britain First.